Are we gonna go with that direction where we keep everybody muted till we unmute? Do we want to do that?
It seemed like, yeah, that's what we wanted to do.
Okay.
But should I give it to Jessica or you?
What do you think, Jess?
I could, I guess.
I can unmute as we.
Confident my Zoom muting and unmuting capabilities for folks.
Do that if you want during. I'm happy to mute and mute.
Okay.
Do you want to be the unmuter? That way Jess can monitor the chat. Like basically she'll announce names in the chat as people want to comment. And if you want to unmute them.
I can do that.
That would be so cool.
Yep,
That's
yep.
cool. I'll make you the host, Diana.
Perfect.
Sorry, everybody. Thanks for our plan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the Ivy Community Network meeting. We're going to take just a minute as we are getting more people coming on board and joining us. And so just hang tight with us. Please note that as of now, we have everybody muted just so that we can kind of control the conversation as we go into the big topic of the day. So we will ask you that if you do want to speak during this time, to please raise your hand. Jessica will be monitoring the hands. I will be muting and unmuting folks as we go into the discussion. So let's see, we're about 27 people right now. Melissa, we're not doing intros today, right? We're only doing any urgent announcements at the beginning?
That seemed easier to make sure we had enough time. We can gauge it on timing. How do we feel about that? Is that too unique for us?
I'm sorry, am I in charge of the waiting room?
Oh,
people in. Here we go. I'm putting them all. Got it. Okay.
I think it might get too lengthy if we do intros of everybody.
Wonderful.
And that's sticking with just going with, if you want to do a general announcement at first, we'll just go with that. And then we'll ask people to introduce themselves before they make a comment during the cannabis section.
Wonderful. Okay. Then welcome everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us today for the Ivy Community Network meeting. I want to just get us started with the welcome and land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Chumash people and pay our respects to elders, both past and present. We honor the traditional territory as well as the story and contributions of the Chumash people to the land upon which we gather and create. We want to, as we just noted, take just a moment to not only welcome everybody, but ask if there are any quick announcements around the room. We are going to bypass introductions today since we have a lengthy agenda. And so if you do have any quick announcements that you'd like to give, if you would please raise your hand. Okay, I'm not seeing
Viviana's hand up.
Anna, perfect. Okay, Viviana, please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I sent an email to Melissa earlier today, and she asked me to make the announcement. Once again, I'm here to torture you about the census. You know, we have barely 5 days left to complete the census. Isla Vista is still very low in the count. I sent Melissa an email today to resend to all the IVCN members. Please, if you can really forward that email to all your listservs, it's in Spanish and in English, mainly for the permanent residence community, because the students have different directions for the census, and I'm doing that separately. If you want to call people, whatever you think will work, okay? The funding for Isla Vista depends on this count. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Viviana. We are definitely down to the wire in terms of the census count. So this is the time to push for that. So thank you, Viviana, and I hope that we can all share that information in our networks. I have Yasmin with a little update. Yasmin, oops, did I manage to unmute you? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to announce that the EVPLA office, in collaboration with other campus and community entities, is hosting a COVID-19 response town hall on Monday, this coming Monday at 3 p.m. The Zoom link is going to go out today with all our graphics about the event information, but we would really appreciate it if you could all attend. We're going to have representatives from UCSB, the county, student health. It's going to be a variety of representatives, not just for UCSB students, but everyone in the community.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Really look forward to that town hall. So just as a reminder to everyone, that is next Monday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. And there will be a Zoom link going out soon about that. And really a great opportunity for our whole community to come together and hear from folks about how we have been responding to COVID in the community, and also hear from our community about things that are concerns and things that they would like to see happening. So thank you again, Yasmin. We have Gary.
Hello, thanks, Deanna. I just wanted to make a quick announcement in that we've been doing a PPE handout on the corner of Pardal and Del Norte. This will be our last week that we're doing it, just handing out information. We have hand sanitizers and we have masks that we've been handing out, the nice UCSB cloth masks, which are reusable. We will start again probably around Halloween, where we're going to go out probably during the evening time, and if there's going to be a lot of people walking around, try to reinitiate handing out masks kind of during this time, expecting a larger amount of people in the area not wearing masks. So I just wanted to put that out there that this will be the last week we're doing it as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gary, and thank you for all the efforts of getting out there with that mass distribution. I should also note that the Pradal Center has stopped mass distribution temporarily, but we are still sourcing the other locations for mass distribution, so you can still get them from numerous other places. Let's see. For folks that have just joined us, I want to just let you know, we are going through just very quick updates right now. We're not doing the usual introductions. So if you have a quick update for us, please go ahead and raise your hands and we will call on you. And then we'll move on to the next agenda item. Next, I have Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Quick announcement from the co-op. We are still being a mask distribution zone. So we have that still happening in the store. We have thermometers also. So thank you for the support from AS and from Health and Wellness. As we're seeing increased foot traffic, we just want to remind the community that the co-op still has curbside shopping available. This is something that we think is important right now as move-in is ramping up. We've shifted our pickup times, so they're happening more throughout the day. We have a full online shopping cart. Please pass that message if you have folks that are concerned, if there's students that are concerned. You don't have to have a car. That's been a misunderstanding. We will bring your groceries out to wherever. We will hand them 6 feet from you at your feet where you can walk up and grab them by foot, by bike, by skateboard. We've pretty much done all of those drops at this point, but we want it to be clear for our whole community. This is a service for anybody. It's not just for anybody that has a car or just for anybody that's vulnerable. Co-op curbside is for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think we have, Lisa had an update. She says KCSB has been promoting it. Oh, Lisa, would you like to speak to your update, or were you just making a comment about Gary's update? Sorry, I'm going to have to go over to you. It's a unmuting situation. I'm going to read Lisa's update, which she says, KCSB has been promoting it in our student COVID newsletter, and Viviana have been including the census outreach information as well. Next, I have Lori. Lori, would you mind raising your hand if you're able to, so I can put you at the top of the pile? Okay, you're good to go, Lori?
Okay. I'm not sure how I raise my hand. I'm not seeing a raise hand function today.
No worries.
Anyway, IVYP is hosting a candidates forum that will be available, that will be in English and Spanish for the school board candidates for the Goleta School Board. And the Goleta School District covers all of Isla Vista, all of UCSB. All of those people have the opportunity and should vote for school board. It's the first contested election in more than 2 decades. There's it's important to be aware of the vote. So if anyone would like to participate, it's going to be October 7th via Zoom from 5:30 to 7. I will be sharing, I can send to the listserv and we'll be posting the link to register. And again, it's going to be interpreted live during the forum so that everyone can participate. And I think that's my update.
Thank you very much, Lori. Appreciate that. Wonderful. Next, we have Ver.
Hi, this is Viren. A quick update from the Business Association. Of the 70+ names that we have, great news, we only have 5 that is still currently closed. And Ivy Deli Mart has new owners, Steve and Dana Coronlino, and they are listing in, and we just welcome them.
Thank you very much.
Ash, it looks like you posted an update in the chat. Would you like to share that, or are you good with everyone just kind of reading that? Okay, let's see. But yeah, I can just go ahead and read it too. My update is that EcoVista Friends are working on an Isla Vista food forest around Estero and Sueño parks. We want to increase food security, connection with nature, and be more climate/drought resilient. Follow us on Instagram at Isla Vista Food Forest Project. We will follow you. Awesome.
Thank you. And at some point, we will be asking for volunteers to join us. So that could be fun. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Ash. Gary, did you have your hand up again, or was that from earlier? Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Any other announcements, folks? Jackie, did you have your hand up? I lost you. There you are. Jackie, did
Sorry. My update you mentioned already prior to my joining the call, so sorry about that.
Perfect. About the community COVID town hall meeting. Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, then it looks like we are good as far as updates and announcements. Thank you all so much. Oh, George Thurlow, is your hand up? Give me 1 second to get to you, George. Okay, George, please.
Yeah, I want to put Gary on the spot. We should announce that UCPD has a new police chief. Gary, do you want to just give a quick announcement? I think we've chosen an extremely skilled individual who has a deep background in community policing.
Yes, thanks, George. I appreciate it. I don't have a whole lot of information. My understanding is he's slated to start in November, early November. So not too far away. My understanding is, as yours is, George, that he has extensive background in community outreach. So our community outreach team is very busy, and we do a lot of stuff. We're allowed to think outside the box a little bit and have some level of autonomy and react kind of in the field and do things, spur of the moment, as long as they are within the efficacies of our mission. So it's great to have people support us in community outreach. And my understanding is through the vetting process, and maybe Yasmin can talk about that, but that they did an extremely good job of vetting someone who was going to be, I believe, a good fit for this campus. I have very little contact with Chief Yao. He is from Berkeley, the UC Berkeley campus, and I think he will understand some of the dynamics and stuff of our community very well with his background. So I believe maybe mid-November we should expect to see him.
Thank you very much for that update, Gary and George. Wonderful. So if there are no additional updates at this time, please just remember that if you do want to share anything with the network, you are more than welcome to send us an email or to also post on the IVCN Facebook page so that we can get that information out there to the community. So then we will move along to the next section of the agenda, which is the bulk of the agenda for today. This is the Cannabis Dispensary Community Merit Conversation. And I will hand this over to Melissa and to Jessica and to the crew that's been organizing this conversation. So thank you all.
Thanks, Deanna. Thank you for helping launch our meeting off. And thank you for those that called in, especially for this. We have community members on this call. We have folks from the county here in a listening role. And we also have applicants that are vying for the dispensary location on this call, also here to listen. For clarity, this is definitely a community engaged process. This is not a county meeting. This is our Isla Vista Community Network having this really cool opportunity to share our ideas, share our inspired ideas. Maybe you have a creative thought. Maybe there's something you've just been really excited to just get out on the table that you want people to hear you say. This is that meeting. And we're going to do our best to run this as well as we can. Again, it's an IVCN meeting. We're upping the technology by everybody being muted. And so thank you for your patience as Jess will be monitoring the chat and sharing some information in live time via that chat. And Diana is going to be helping support by unmuting people. So we'll go as best we can, and we appreciate everybody's patience through this process. So just to get us started, and I'll say, I'm Melissa, I'm the co-op's general manager. The co-op is not a vested, we're not a part of this process beyond that we're a part of this community, and we're really excited to be, engaging around the huge opportunity that this dispensary is. I think we're all really excited about what it could bring and the type of just, unique opportunity because Isla Vista is so special. So we feel really grateful to be participating in this conversation. And Jess, I don't know if you want to do a quick intro since you'll be helping too.
Yeah, I'm here as an Isla Vista resident. I'm here not formally representing the many groups I'm a part of, but yeah, like Melissa mentioned, I think this is a really wonderful opportunity. Shout out to Gina as well and to Jefferson from the county. Folks, just making sure that we are all on the same page. So I'm actually going to be dropping some resources right now in the chat for folks that want to get caught up or need a refresher on the YouTube video with the last cannabis conversation and some other resources that folks might find useful to get oriented. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those. Hopefully those links work effectively. If not, let me know and I will make it better.
Thanks, Jess. And so for that, I'm going to jump into the agenda. I want to welcome us, and I'm going to give an overview of the selection process. However, this is definitely like our broad community overview, and what Jess dropped in the chat are very specific links. So if you have deeper questions about the process, that is the answer for your deeper questions. For now, I'm going to say in the coming days, the application forms for retail cannabis stores and IV are going to open. It's very exciting. And applicants will have the opportunity to submit their applications in just over 30 days. Those applications will be reviewed by county staff and an independent third party to identify the top scoring applications, which will have the opportunity to then apply for a business license to be the sole cannabis dispensary in Isla Vista. The whole process is expected to take until spring of 2021. Applicants will be evaluated and scored based on a neighborhood compatibility plan, which consists of a number of different criteria. This includes parking plans, neighborhood design compatibility, customer education, and community involvement. The community involvement piece specifies how the applicant will respond to community concerns, and it also offers the applicant a chance to articulate community benefits that they might choose to offer. So for our purposes today, this is our opportunity for the applicants who are listening to better understand the IV community before they prepare their applications. We put together the forum so the community's voice could really be heard about how cannabis retail could be most compatible with Isla Vista, as well as what the needs are in our community. And the reason we're doing it in this way is because we all represent really different slices of Isla Vista. And the idea is that what I might think a need is might be really different from what Jess or what somebody else or what Gina thinks, And so we wanted to really create this space to offer all on the table. So right now, like I said earlier, we have potential applicants here in a listening capacity, and we have county staff in a listening capacity. And at the end of the meeting, if we have time, county staff will be able to answer questions as they can. Not every question maybe can be answered in the meeting, but we're all going to try our best. And I also, sorry, I just lost my, Oh yeah, if you want to actually share in public comment to make it a little easier, rather than doing the hand raise, put your name in the chat, and Jess is going to monitor the chat in order, and she'll announce the name, and then that will help Diana unmute. So again, don't raise your hand because there's a lot of people on the call. Just put your name in the chat so that Jess can see it listed, and that's the order that we'll go into for public comment. Any questions about that little nugget to start with? Okay. And we have, I think Barney just listed his name. So Barney's on the call. He's the Assistant County Executive Officer. So that's one of our county folks that called in. And there's some more names being listed. So you can see who's on the call from the county, which I think is wonderful. I also want to presence that this is a unique opportunity. This is not how this is done in all places. This is a direct response to how special and wonderful Isla Vista is. We have so many stakeholders. We have so many ideas. We have such a dynamic, diverse, unique, transitional, moving all around, heart-centered, which sometimes people don't realize, community. And so we have this chance for the first time really to get to share what we think. So one thing I wanted to do before we launched into the public comment was help distill some of this, because I also have felt very confused through this process. As one of the people that was like, hey, wait, can we do this not with the bingo ball lottery, but with this cool idea of community merit? It's like how Santa Barbara City did it. I still didn't totally understand the scope of what that could be. So I did a little bit of internet researching, and I wanted to share, just for those on the call that might want some like ideas or just kind of get the ball rolling, some stuff that I found that other jurisdictions are doing. This looks like mostly in Colorado. One idea that was cool is there's a Denver dispensary that's offering a community giving program. And so customers can go into the dispensary and they choose between 4 local nonprofits they'd like their purchase to help support. It's as simple as, kind of like you've seen at other stores, you get a little token and you can drop it in the box that you want to support. That's one of the ideas. Pretty straightforward. It's a really, it's a really clear touch point, and maybe we help support what those nonprofits are. So that's one idea. Another interesting one that I thought was cool, there's one in Washington that on 420, which is kind of like a known day in cannabis for whatever reason, that dispensary closes on 420, which is their biggest potential sales day of the year. And instead, all their workers go out and volunteer their time to make the community a better place. Pretty cool. So I thought it was neat to sort of see some ideas about what could be. And now, all of that said, we would love to open up this discussion and hear what you think. And so if you would like to be put into the public comment, please start putting your name into the chat. And that way Jess can start monitoring and Diana can start unmuting. Or if you have questions and you're not ready to make a comment yet, we'll try our best to answer.
And at the same time too, I'm also dropping the IVCN survey. So that's a good place to kind of catch any thoughts or ideas. And hopefully we'll be able to kind of mine some resonant, desires and patterns from what folks are sharing. So that will be shared here. And yes, put your name in the chat if you would like to speak.
And Jess, thanks for mentioning the survey. This actually is cool. I want to take note. The survey that we put out on Google Forms, that actually, Jess had that idea, and it's not the county survey that went out. It's a little bit different. It's really specifically geared towards Isla Vista and merit, and it's us. It's not a county survey. It's just Jess and I that have access to that, and we're trying to kind of capture maybe themes that people have, and we start seeing that there's some consistency in some of the ideas. And so if you're not comfortable making a public comment, this is a great place to just drop your little nuggets, because it's really just us going through it, and then we're actually hoping to just share it directly with the applicants. So again, this is our opportunity to say, what do we want? Maybe we can get it. So that survey link is also now in the chat. Does anybody have a comment? Don't be shy.
All right, I see Ash, you're at the top of the stack.
Okay, thank you. This is really cool. I think that community benefits could look like a % of the profits going to community gardens, mutual aid, or meaningful employment in the community, supporting formerly incarcerated people and other marginalized communities. I think organizing around 420 is a really good idea. I want our cannabis business here to have fair labor practices and think about who they're supporting with their suppliers. Cannabis can be a very wasteful industry. A lot of weed that's grown indoors wastes, gigatons of electricity that we could just be getting from the sunlight, maybe with greenhouses instead. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, that's some good things to think about. I think Isla Vista has been a place where a lot of people are very care a lot about the environment and people, and including all marginalized communities. And I really hope that the cannabis business will take that to heart as part of their business practices too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. So we have Gina next and then Melissa. Oh, Gina, you're muted.
I unmuted her.
Oh. I think she muted herself back on accident. It's okay.
Sorry, I went to go unmute myself and I muted myself again.
Wow.
I'm Gina Sawaya. I am a local IB resident and an organizer for Food Not Bombs Isla Vista. I think the reason we're doing this and the reason people wanted to have a forum in the first place is because we recognize that there's a huge opportunity for money to flow into the community. The dispensary that does get the permit stands to make a lot of money from our residents, and the whole point of having some kind of community engagement and community specified on the application is basically like, how is that money that the community is generating for your business going to trickle back down? One way I think that could be done is through like an annual or maybe quarterly fund that would go back to the community. And I think the dispensary could have a representative on a board, as well as a handful of other community members. I think people in the IVCN would make great board members of to judge this kind of thing. But it would be a board of local community members, one dispensary member, and they would decide what those funds would go to. And I'm thinking that they could go either to organizations like Food Not Bombs or Eco Vista or others on campus groups, or it could go to specific projects like the Food Forest, or specific things that come up in a timely manner. And if it was reviewed quarterly, it could be something that's like of immediate need to the community that needs funding right now. And I think that'd be a really easy way just to make sure that some of those profits get back in the hands of community members. And I'd really like to see that on the dispensary's applications. Thanks.
Thank you, Gina. Melissa, and then Jeremy.
Yeah, Gina, I love that idea. I think that's so cool to think about. And kind of like segues, we have a really cool, I think it's called Coalition for Healthy Communities. I'm thinking a lot about youth, and I'm thinking about this really unique moment, having a dispensary in a town that is so youth focused. And I don't just mean college students, but I'm also talking about all of the children up to age 18. And I know there's a lot of work being done, and we have folks on the call, like Jackie's on the call today, that have a role that they're playing in this, opioid education and cannabis education. And so I don't know what the idea is, but some direct connection that would uniquely surprise people probably, where a dispensary would actually be supporting like youth education opportunities around not trying cannabis until you're older. I think I had a weird like clean till 18 idea, but I don't know if that's ridiculous, but some way that there's a natural progression where maybe there's a representative from the dispensary participating in that coalition that we already have going, that did also get some funding to help support programs. And so to me, it feels like there's a chance for connecting and not working those things in a silo, that if a dispensary wants to do education and then the entity that's gotten the grant to do funding, and I can't speak to the grant, and Jackie's here, maybe somebody else can speak to specifics, but there's some shared curriculum or some, youth-focused after-school programs, but where we're definitely funneling and putting right on the table and presencing that this is a tricky part of IB. We do have a lot of kids running from kids, is my loose term, but like young folks of all ages running around this town. And so how are we supporting the right education, not fear-based education necessarily, but really utilizing the knowledge and the brilliance of the dispensaries who are coming in as experts. I mean, at the end of the day, you're experts in your field. What can you do to help us to support how we teach our youth to be responsible? So that's my thing. Oh, look, good. Jackie might talk. Great. Thank you, guys.
So we have Jeremy and then Jackie.
Okay, everybody can hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, so I think I'm pretty much on par with everything that everybody else has already said. I think you know, the idea of a percentage of the profits coming back to IV, I think is really key. I think you know, we're all interested in having a dispensary that practices sustainable practices and as Ash mentioned, the fair labor practices. I think my message would be to the county too, because I think it's really easy for people to say, or for corporations to say, like, this is what we would like to do. But if there's no accountability, if there's no guarantee, then it might just look good on an application, but it might not happen. So I would hope that the county, in reviewing applications, is going to be looking at companies that meet those criteria, the fair labor practices, and you know, sustainability issues are very important, but are ready to sign like a memorandum of understanding and commit to, you know, basically the highest percentage that a company is willing to give back to the community. I think that's what we need to be looking for. Right, I see a note in the chat about transparency, so that increases accountability. I really think giving the power of how to give out that money that's reallocated back into the community, to give that power to the community members is really very important. Rather, like, I really like the idea, Melissa, of the dispensary you mentioned in Colorado, where the customer just goes in and says, well, here's the organization I'd like, you know, the profit from this sale to go to. So there's a piece here, I think, about percentage of profit that goes back to the community, but then also like who is in charge of making that decision. Putting it in the community hands, I think, is a better way to go than keeping it as an administrative or political decision.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. So we have Jackie, Lisa, and then Spencer.
Hey, hi everybody, Jackie Curda, and just by way of introduction, I work for UC Santa Barbara. I'm the director of the Alcohol and Drug Program at Student Health. And to just speak to Melissa's comments, which I really appreciate, about introducing the Isla Vista Healthy Coalitions, the Healthy Community Coalition, that we launched just about a year ago with a grant from the Drug Free Communities, the federal grant. It's a 5-year grant with the possibility of, with we hope, the intention of another 5 years. And it's being headed up by Leonor Reyes of the Isla Vista Youth Center and Isis Castaneda, and they've been doing a wonderful job of involving the youth in our community. Our focus for this grant is alcohol and marijuana. Our first year has been really to expand the coalition, and we're just about to enter our second year, which will be a much more determined focus on prevention and education. So I think it speaks really nicely to what Melissa's referring to in terms of collaborating with any Isla Vista dispensary to engage them in the assistance regarding this education. One of the key points we've always felt is legalization doesn't necessarily mean safety across the board, and the idea of increased perception of the risks, increased understanding of the risks. If there's a decrease in perception of of risk, then that's where the issues come in. So we plan to focus a lot of time on the education and prevention as much with the schools as we can. That was in our game plan, but of course the game plan was developed pre-COVID. So we're doing our best to communicate with the schools. I think Devin is on this call, and Devin has been attending a number of our Isla Vista Coalition meetings as an involved partner. Hi there, Devin. And we certainly welcome anybody on this call to join our coalition meetings. If you have interest in that, please just put your name in the chat. We'll involve you with that and continue to work with whatever community partners we can to get this prevention education out there.
Thank you, Jackie. Lisa.
Hi. Oh, good. I'm not muted. So first of all, my name is Lisa. I serve on the Isla Vista Food Co-op Board of Directors, speaking personally, not necessarily on behalf of the co-op today, but I wanted to echo what everyone else is saying about the possibility of a board of people from the community that are in charge of deciding where funds that would be dedicated for community benefit would go. There's a lot of stuff to unpack within the idea of what is community benefit and also what is personal wellness. There's lots of different stakeholders here. It would be really great to see a board of specific community stakeholders with a few individual community members that might cycle on and off as well to help steer where this money that would be required to go back to community benefit, how best it could be funded, especially on an ongoing basis, because Isla Vista needs stay the same and pivot all at the same time with a constantly evolving community. So I'm really happy to hear all of the things that people have said in support of this idea of continuing on with a group idea of how to make these decisions to make sure that all of the stakeholders are heard. I very much recognize the financial benefit that can come from a business like this coming into the community. It has a big community impact, and I think that it should be something that the county requires to help us manage that level of impact. Thanks.
Next, we have, I believe, Spencer, and then Viran and Gina.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I'm Spencer. Want to make just clear at the outset, speaking on behalf of myself as an Ivy resident and not any agency today. But I want to echo a lot of the great ideas that people have had today and really talk a little bit about something that I think was mentioned by Jackie and others, which is the safety component. Personally, I've had experiences that I've spoken about where I've had to be hospitalized because of the use of drugs. And I think that a lot of people in our community, there's not a great understanding of some of the, hard facts and education of, what the potential benefits and drawbacks are. And so I think education is a really important thing. Arming people with the facts so that they can make decisions for themselves. On top of that, I think just safety in general continues to be one of the biggest issues in our community. And I think a lot of us in this group together have really done a lot to try and say, how can we reimagine a public safety in a way where we're making the community safer through cultural change. And that cultural change is arts, that cultural change is music. It's weird to say now because of COVID and the fact that we can't gather in the ways that we usually have in the past. But I think that it'd be really great to see, a group or a potential dispensary just being really supportive of that effort, because I think that that is really one of the most important things that we have going for us in the community to continue to make us safer through positive outlets for folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Spencer. We have Viran and Gina, and then we do have a correction to one of the updates provided earlier. Folks, pay attention to that. Thanks.
Hi. Hi, this is Viren. Well, a lot of what I was going to say has already been echoed by Gina, Melissa, and even Spencer. So I agree with a lot that has already been said. I just want to add couple of things. One is employment opportunities. There's going to be a lot of people employed by the dispensary, and I would like to see a lot of our local people given that opportunity to gain that employment. That being said, a lot of you may know that we have been delayed in opening our restaurant, and all the while we've had people approaching us to open a marijuana dispensary at our location. With this being the case, we took the time to do simple Google's research of the owners and local dispensaries, as well as those of out-of-town companies. What we found out about local and out-of-town owners was shocking and appalling. It would be of greatest community benefit and greatest importance that all of you took the time to do research on the background of the dispensary applicants. In that way, we know the community is aware of the character and the caliber of people we're letting into our community. So community benefit should be included in, we should include this in as a community benefit as to who we're letting into our community. Thank you.
Hi, it's Gina again. I'm reading a couple comments that came from EcoVista. Some concerns that some folks in that group want to bring forward include how is the dispensary going? What are they doing to seek justice for those currently incarcerated for nonviolent drug crimes? How sustainable is and local is the supply chain for the dispensary? Ash mentioned something about that. And what are their labor policies? Will any of that be transparent to the community? How would the dispensary voluntarily recognize the formation of a union among their employees? Would you? Is that something that you would consider? Would the dispensary be willing to describe the content of their investment in retirement fund portfolios? We are a community that's really passionate about divestment from fossil fuels, especially, but just in general. Would the dispensary seek any ethical certifications or commitments, such as B Corp or 1% for the planet? And finally, how will the dispensary support the community economically, socially, beyond just selling weed and providing jobs, of course? And I think that's been addressed a little in the past questions, but just some food for thought.
During this, Gina. So I don't see any other folks on stack yet, and I did bump the IVCN survey. So again, if you're not feeling like you want to speak out loud today, please capture thoughts. And if you really liked what folks have shared, maybe name, like, I really liked Jeremy's thoughts. I liked Gina's thoughts around this fund. Like, name those things. We want to find those patterns.
And again, if you have constituents or networks not able to call in, like the EcoVista list of, I've actually, we've been communicating to plan for this meeting, and some of those ideas came up the other week, and I was like kind of blown away at the level of consideration from just this really vast network of folks and their ideas. Take that survey and please share it. And I think I want to reiterate again, the survey that we're sharing was made by Jess mainly and myself. There's nothing in there that's like, oh, this is the county survey. And to kind of get rid of people's sticking points that everything is like being top down driven by the county with this process. This is fully our chance to put our ideas out there. And these have been really incredible ideas. So that survey that Jess just bumped, again, common themes coming through, like we want to share that with the applicants. And that is of the people, by the people, for the people, for lack of a better way of saying it. So share that, put it on your Facebook page, share it through your Insta. There's no cap on how many responses we can get. And I think we're really excited to see the unique types of responses and then start to see, like, maybe there's stuff here that will blow the socks off of the dispensary applicants because maybe they never thought about it before. Maybe they've all thought about all of this and it's already coming through the pipe because they've been in IV for a while paying attention to us. Like, we don't know, but this is our chance to really, put that out there.
Right. And I see a question here from Jeremy about how long the survey will be kept open. We haven't formally discussed that, but that's a good question. What are we thinking here? Or is this something we could revisit later?
maybe that's something we can confer. I think the survey will be open for a while because, as we said earlier, and just for those just tuning in, the application process opens up next week, but it's open for 30 days, I believe. So it seems like we could probably hold the survey open for a couple weeks and then share that over. I don't think there's necessarily a time limit. It's more like trying to make sure that it gets to the folks at the right time if it actually does help steer some of the applications. It's like a non-answer based on the broader county timeline, I would say. So my answer would be like, get your answers in soon, because we'll keep the survey open, but it might not become relevant at some point if an application goes in really, really quickly. I don't know enough about if the applicants are like, boom, October 3rd or whenever it opens, like we're in, we're filed. Probably it's going to take a minute because this process has been evolving and kind of moving a little bit. And for those that have just signed on, we are in the public comment section of our super fun cannabis discussion. It's actually been really neat. I feel very inspired right now. My juice is making me feel juiced with all these ideas. Some of the ideas that we've heard so far are things like, can the dispensary close on 420 and have all their staff go out and volunteer in the community? We say 420 because in cannabis world, that's historically a huge, crazy, busy sales day. So wouldn't that mean something if the dispensary just closed and instead went out and helped do other things? We talked about having a local advisory board of some sort, some like a collaborative effort of folks that could actually help steer some of the money out through the community. So sort of like a board that would be different stakeholders that would receive the funds, X amount from this dispensary, and then be able to receive grants or applications from folks in the community to receive that money. We've talked about engaging with the Coalition for Healthy Communities, which is an entity that already exists that's doing really specific work around youth, alcohol, and cannabis education. And so that's one idea that came out. We talked about, will the dispensary itself have sustainable practices? Could they be a B Corp or 1% for the planet? Do we know, are they running their business with a union at the helm if their workers are unionized, or with other pathways if it's not unionized, to make sure that it's a workplace of choice and a fair and equitable workplace? So there's definitely a lot of ideas on the table. And I don't know, Jeremy, I think you just popped your name in as I was talking. So maybe we have a few more minutes for comment before we want to jump in for some questions. So Jeremy to go, and then we can, so I'm just reading the chat, and then we can jump in and see if there's questions for the county directly, so we have plenty of time.
Thank you. So I just saw that 1% for Planet too, and I maybe that's like a, I don't know, a national program or something. I'm not familiar with it, but I just wanted to reiterate, like, to me, it's, for those of you that know me, I mean, I try to volunteer a lot in the community. I try to have a big heart for people in need, and that's great. Like, big hearts and words are great. It's important, but to me, like business, I'm thinking like, okay, let's talk percentages, like I mentioned before. And so I'm thinking if an applicant puts down, like, we would donate 5% of our profits to organizations, and another applicant puts down, we would, donate 10% of our profits to organizations in Isla Vista. Like, to me, there's a clear answer. So that's, I'm just like, I'd like to see numbers and commitments to those numbers. Of course, process is important, how it's going to happen. George thinks percentage of gross, not percentage of profit. That makes more sense from someone who understands a little more about business than I do. So I'm looking at bottom line, and I hope the county holds them accountable to something like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. So we want to just open this up again for if anybody else has any more ideas. And we also want to ask the county folks that are on the call at this moment if there's anything to respond to, if there's anything about any answers to any questions that have been posed. If anybody now wants to direct a question to the county specifically, you can put your name in the chat. We have a bunch of folks on the call that I'm sure are waiting with bated breath for questions.
Barney, I see your hand up.
Oh, we have to unmute you, Barney.
Yeah. There you go.
Still can't hear him. Barney,
Shows him as unmuted.
Barney, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Why would that be?
If you have headphones plugged in and they're not being used, sometimes that's a thing.
Mic volume low on his end as well could be.
Yeah.
Well, while Barney's getting that figured out, I just wanted to again thank everybody who's called in and everybody that's offered insight into this process. It's definitely been a long journey to get to this point, and it's really exciting that we're about to turn the corner and have applications be open. So I will plug our survey one more time again, and to also share that into your networks, put it on your socials. There's no limit to how many people can fill this out and add their ideas in. No idea is too crazy because these are just ideas. It's like a blue sky vision, and the sky is very blue up there. So I don't know if Barney's is working yet.
Let's see, we just readmitted him, so perhaps he could try again.
It's like a microphone issue, maybe.
Let's see.
Is anybody else from the county on the call that wants to say anything? Barney. Barney, you can also type in the chat if you'd like, and we can say what you're thinking out loud. Oh, wait. Something just happened.
Oh, we can hear you.
We can hear you now. Not now. I don't know what happened.
I'm going to do it one more time, muting and unmuting, just to see if that changes anything again.
I saw the green chat thing go around him for 1 second, so I felt like there was hope.
Okay, his microphone is red. I can see that. Okay, there. Can you do a test, Marty? See if we can hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Good old technology, right, everyone? Who loves Zoom more than ever before? Raise your hand. I'm just kidding. Don't raise your hand because that would be confusing. Wait.
What to do now?
Yeah, there you are.
It worked.
What happened?
We don't know.
Me either.
So we're glad to have you.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. Sorry for the delay. I think I must be coming in on the phone rather than the computer, so I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, I'm the Assistant County Executive Officer of the oversight responsibility for the implementation of this retail plan. And I really appreciate the format that was put together for this today. This issue of community benefit is particularly critical and important. I recognize that. The county recognizes that in the scoring. And as we go forward, the challenge that we have, and it's the reason that I really asked for it to be done this way, is because the county cannot specifically tell an applicant, you have to do this or pay this or something. It has to be open-ended in the sense that we cannot appear to be doing some kind of pay-for-play operation. However, I have taken extensive notes, as has everyone else from the county, Jeff and Reese in particular. And my hope is, quite honestly, that in addition to the survey that you're doing, and I hope you'll share the results with us, I assume that's the plan, is that you'll take the time to actually take the county survey as well, so that we can capture it as well. And I recognize there's a certain duplication there. But we really are, and just for a real quick process review, the first phase is really just looking at people's applications and making sure they filled out the things that they're supposed to. The second part is a review of what's called the business license or the business application process, which is really kind of a checkbox. And it's more of a business focused application. And to move on to the third phase, which is what I think everybody on this call cares about, you have to get 85% or better on that in that first phase. But like I said, those are, if you look at that score sheet for the business application, it really is, the items are either there or they're not. You either have the funding or you don't. You either have the state certification or you don't. It's the third phase, when you get into neighborhood compatibility, that I think that the issues that are being discussed today are important. And all I want to really do is take a few moments to assure everyone that we've heard this call. I suspect there may be others. You have the ability, either individually or as a group, to email me. The application itself will be put up for review next week. I don't want to say a date. It'll be early, but as soon as and that'll be announced on Monday. But as soon as I say a date, something will happen, and then I'll have to tell you that, oh, we're changing it again. So I'm really trying to avoid that. But it will be next week, and it has to stay open for 30 days. It will stay open for a little bit longer than that, which gives everybody an opportunity to look at the application, look at the score sheet, see what's critical, and then the submittal period is 7 days. It's a fairly brief window, and then that second phase, actually the first and the second phase are really are by staff and by that third-party vendor, and then we go to the third phase. And we did make some changes in response to community suggestions. There is an emphasis on local experience. Somebody mentioned this issue, and we're very well aware of it. And it was one of the recommendations from the city that any commitments that are made by an applicant, they will be held to it. Somebody mentioned an MOU, because other jurisdictions have had the experiences where the applicant will make, a great deal of commitment or promises about what they're going to do, but then once they have the license and they're in business, they don't have to, and so there will be I don't know exactly what it will look like yet, but there will be some kind of contractual MOU kind of thing, holding people to what they said they were going to do. The issues of but some of the ideas that were mentioned, I think they're all interesting. It would not be appropriate for me to say, yes, that's a really great idea, or that's not. But I can assure you, as I've said before, that we have been listening. So that's my sort of 3-minute spiel about this.
Thanks, Barney. Just a time check, it's 1. We slated this meeting to go till 1:30, but I know that some people have to jump off at 1. No worries. Deanna has to jump off. She's punting to Jess to help support. Thank you, Deanna, for helping us. And Jeff posted into the chat the link to the county survey. We decided to take the survey into our own hands, in part because we wanted to kind of distill it down a little bit and feel like it was really user friendly and really start to I'll say casually capture, so that if people felt intimidated by the county survey, they had this other direction to go. Also, because we know that not everybody can make these meetings, and it's almost impossible to set a meeting that can really be at the right time for everyone. So ours is that, community driven effort to really try to make this inclusive and to get as many voices and ideas as we possibly can together. COVID. And the county survey is also just as user friendly and really important for that process as well. So all the surveys, if possible. And yes, we are looking forward to sharing our results with not just the county, the applicants also. So it feels like a cool moment of bridge building and collaboration.
And I'm reminded one thing that I did forget to mention, just in the spirit of how holding people accountable to what they say. The successful applicant has to get a county business license, and that business license gets renewed every year. So if they're not doing what they say, or there's some issues, there's an annual opportunity to review that. And I'm one of those people that was supposed to jump off at 1 o'clock so I could go talk about COVID, my other favorite topic. But I want to make sure that there aren't any specific questions for me before I leave.
Does anybody have a question for Barney? You can just drop your name in the chat really quick and we can get you. Okay. If you think of a question later, we can definitely pass that through also to Barney. So I'll say thank you so much for calling in, Barney, and offering us that insight and giving us the chance to generate some community engagement around this.
All right, it's a pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
And then also for folks that may be thinking of, community members who want to respond to this survey or have some thoughts to share and are maybe not able to access the surveys online, let us know. We could do some, like a survey over the phone. Perhaps we can meet folks and do like a hard copy. We want to make sure that we take some community accountability to make sure that we're getting, everyone's voice heard. So if you think of anything there, reach out.
Thanks for saying that, Jess. Yeah, we definitely, I forgot to mention that earlier, that the idea wasn't to make it non-inclusive by having it be online. And so we're super happy to just take a phone call and put your thoughts into the survey, or, we could set up a table if we needed to. Jeremy asked a question in the chat about where to ask questions about the county survey. And thank you, Jeff, for answering. cannabisinfo@countyofsb.org. That would be the place to drop any specific questions about that survey. And then I saw Jeremy's hand go up, and I don't know if it was about that or something different. Yeah, okay. Does anybody else have a question for any of our county folks that are still on the call? There's a few people still lingering. Or if you didn't get a chance earlier in public comment to offer any of your ideas around community benefit, we do still have some time. We won't keep people here for no reason, so if we end early, that's great. But we're here, we're listening. If you want to add your 2 minutes, 2 cents. Just chugging right along, cool. Is there any nuggets that anybody on the call, if anybody on the call wants to add anything that didn't get talked about or have a question that's more general around the process, just want to make sure we get cannabis clear. We do have some dispensary applicants on the call. We weren't necessarily planning to open the call up to all the applicants, but we have a little bit of time. I don't know if it's useful to hear from any of our applicants, if that seems strange late in the meeting, but since we have extra time and it's just us here sitting talking.
Yeah, should we take like a temperature check from folks and community members to see if that's something we want to do, maybe switch in that direction? So like a thumbs up if you want to switch it over to dispensaries, thumbs down if we want to focus more on community voice right now, or if you don't know, we can do a middle thumb. Okay, I see a lot of shrugs. We're kind of navigating this all together, figuring it out. Okay, I see a thumbs up from Chris, and Chris, I want to acknowledge as well, contributed a lot of those really amazing questions. So yeah, I mean, I would like to maybe open it up to reps from our dispensaries, just kind of, if you have anything to respond to in terms of our process, any questions you want to answer. You want to go ahead, Elijah, maybe, and then we can go to Devin. Okay, Elijah, I think
you have to unmute you.
Asked to unmute. I'm not seeing.
Going off script right now, you guys. This is big. IVCN taking it home.
Yeah, and I'm like not the unmute queen. So it says asked to unmute.
I think you did it.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you put me on the spot, but that's okay. That's what these meetings are for. Nothing too, more for anything. And I think this already been said, but this has been really helpful for us. For me, we've had conversations with a number of you, but to put it all in one place is great. And I think you mentioned this, maybe it was Melissa, about that survey. Can you share those? Are you sharing those responses with us? I mean, I've been taking notes, but that would be helpful to distill that. I think in a good way, some of these things we've already sort of discussed and actually has been feedback. So it's sort of been something we're looking at, but other stuff I want to bring back to our team. So nothing like specifically to respond to, but more just kind of in general, appreciative of this time and allowing sort of the CN meeting to take this on. I'm gonna just put my email in the chat in case there's anyone who wants to reach out that I haven't spoken to yet. You know, to bring up any issues if they want to individually, but yeah, so I'll put that in there. You know, I don't have anything specific. We didn't have any sort of specific questions, but definitely have taken notes and would love to see sort of what this survey is, because we've gotten the results from the county when they presented them, you know, back in August, but having something specific to where we're applying is obviously golden. So I appreciate all the time being put in, and I'll stop talking now.
Thank you, Elijah. And again, Elijah is a rep from Cookies. So I'm going to now move over to Devin, who
Thank
is
you for acknowledging that, something I forgot to do.
Yeah, no worries. We're here to help each other out. Okay, Devin, we're gonna see if this works. I'm gonna unmute you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? Oh, okay, great. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. This was really, really helpful. I'm really excited to see IVCN take on this role. I'm pumped to see the results of the community survey. To talk about what you were mentioning, Melissa, in terms of timing, I think if you were to provide that to operators by October 15th, I think that would be fine. That we can definitely make sure we're incorporating things. But again, I've said this before, IV has been the most epic community to work in terms of this type of engagement. I haven't worked in a community where you guys are so organized and able to provide real feedback that's helpful. So thank you guys so much. And I look forward to going through the process. And yeah, I'd love to include my contact information too. I'm Devin with Coastal Dispensary. I grew up here in Santa Barbara, went to UCSB, and I've been the director of Coastal's public affairs since I was the second employee. So it's been a great run, and I'm really excited to work with you all. Thanks so much, and look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts. Bye.
Thanks, Devin.
And then I'm taking a look at the chat, and I see we have Jack Yusufari. I rep a local grower and would like to introduce. Jack, let me try to find you, and I'm going to unmute you.
And before Jack goes, I also see that Jeremy, if you have a specific question about the survey, Jeff from the county is on and is able to answer, so we might be able to add that in towards the end. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Jack Ucciferri. I went to UCSB as an undergrad and during graduate school, and now I work at a law firm downtown, Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck, and I focus on cannabis. And we have a client who is preparing to apply for this really exciting license, and they went to UCSB and have now gone on to great things in the cannabis industry. It's Martin Kaufman and Salwa Ibrahim, and they currently have and are operating a greenhouse cannabis operation in the county, as well as have a proposed outdoor cultivation in Santa Barbara County, and used to live in Isla Vista. So it's kind of they have interest in cannabis dispensaries, several dispensaries around the state, but considering they, were, Isla Vista residents during the college years, and Isla Vista is such a great community, they've made it clear, a point of pride that like to participate in this process and reestablish themselves in the community.
Thank you, Jack. So if you don't mind, could you provide maybe the names again of the folks that you're representing? I don't know if that would be helpful for folks.
Sure. So why don't I just write down their names in the chat here so everyone can take note.
Thank you. I think we've heard from all of our reps, unless I'm missing somebody.
Thank you to the reps for calling in. It's pretty cool to get to have this. We weren't planning to have the reps speak, but we have this extra time, and I think it's a really neat moment for Isla Vista with all of us around the table, the Zoom table. Just doing, I think, what Isla Vista does best in a lot of ways, which is really ground level connecting. It's a really cool community for that, and like trying to find these little bridges of connection and remembering that I think a lot of us are here trying to grow bridges and not barriers, and that the CN has really become one of those places and spaces in the community for that to happen. And really, because it is such a small place that has a lot of things moving, trying to have these moments where we can get the most stakeholders together to remind each other also that we're really here for each other. Like what Jessica said a minute ago, we're here to help each other out. This is a complicated process. There's a lot at stake, not just for the applicant, obviously, but also for the community. And this is a really special moment where we get to really share what we care about, and that doesn't happen everywhere. So I really feel grateful for those who took the time to call in. Everybody's busy. Zoom is enough. And so it's really meaningful. And I guess I just want to open up, we have a couple of minutes left. We will close early because that sounds great too, but just a final call for any more comments or questions. And then a reminder again, we have our community survey in the chat, and then we also have the county survey in the chat, and the community survey will be shared both with the county and with the applicants. And then if there's no further cannabis conversation, which is great, we can move over. Gina has a quick announcement that's not cannabis related, and we can probably take one or two more general community announcements to wind us up. Gina, why don't you go for it? And there, now you can.
I feel like we can't leave this call without acknowledging that it is Jess's last week in Isla Vista. Happy belated birthday. Thank you for spending your final days here working on community issues. You have been such a role model to myself and so many other people in IV, and you're going to be very greatly missed. And I love you and I miss you, and good luck on all of your future endeavors.
Thank you, Gina. I didn't have to cry today, but anyway, I'll miss you all. I'm deeply inspired by the work here, and I hope to remain connected and available as a resource. And yeah, I'm going to be doing some exciting work, and I love community. Thank you all.
And truly, this meeting would not have happened nearly as well without Jess putting so much into it to help support it. And so I didn't even realize she was leaving at the end of this week until the other day. And I was like, really? This is that woman that would put this much time into something before she takes off on her birthday. The birthday was yesterday, no doubt. So happy birthday. Yeah, thank you, Gina, for saying that. You're going to be missed, Jess. You're a light for this community, for sure.
Thank you.
Without any further ado or more comment, I think we'll say thank you to everybody for this wonderful and inspiring and super positive gathering of the cannabis minds. I never thought my father is going to be so taken aback that after all is said and done, I led this conversation for us. So thank you all. We are considering holding an IVCN meeting next week to get back on our track, also because school is starting. And so we'll send out maybe like just a general ask if that feels good for folks, but it's something we're thinking because UCSB officially will launch next week. So look for that email just to check in to see if that works for folks' schedule. And with that, we'll say have a great Thursday and thank you. And bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Unmute ourselves, say bye maybe, and then I'm going to end the meeting. Bye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. All right.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
I'll close it officially.